congratulations.
Oh yeah, we just hired 5 engineers.
Yeah, that's awesome. Are you going to start onboarding them soon?
Onboard them.
Walk them through the architecture, maybe do some pair programming.
I don't have time for that. That's why I hired 5 engineers.
So you're just going to let them sink or swim?
How else does one know if they're good or not?
Oh boy, I think we're going to need to cover the importance of onboarding in today's build tip. Welcome to Build, brought to you by Pivotal Tracker. I'm your host, Purnima Vijay Shankar, and I've got a new build tip for you. While hiring engineers is half the battle, the other half is ramping them up quickly. Today, I'm joined by Chris Jobst, who is a senior software engineer at Pivotal Labs. Thanks for joining us today, Chris.
Thank you so much for having me, Purnima.
Yeah. So, Chris, a lot of people would say if you hire an engineer and they're not productive on the first day shipping code, they were probably a bad hire. What do you think?
Unfortunately, that's a really common misconception.
Yeah. So what should a typical first day look like?
Well, my first tip would be to have them meet the team and really make them feel part of that team.
And then what's the next thing you should do?
Well, start off by talking about the product.
Yeah.
What are they building and who are they building it for?
Got it. So after that, what would you do?
Well, then maybe dive into the code a bit. Talk about the architecture.
Nice. And what should you do as you're talking about the architecture? Because some people could have really big code bases.
Absolutely. I like to start at a really high level and then kind of dive down bit by bit.
Okay.
You don't want to overwhelm them on the first day.
So it's great that you mentioned architecture review. Again, some contrarians might think, well, they should just set themselves up and dive into the code base. Don't make it too easy. We want them to sink or swim. What do you think?
I think the easier it can be to set them up, the better they're going to be set up for success at the company.
Yeah. Why do you think we should make setup a cinch?
Well, if you really do want to get them involved in the product and the code, then make it easy for them to do that.
Yeah. So getting them ramped up and being able to download the code, not have to install a bunch of gems and this and that.
Have a setup script.
Yeah.
We have a few different ways of doing that for the computers that we use.
Yeah.
And it makes it so much easier.
What's an example that you guys use?
Well, start with a base image, and then we just have a workstation script that literally just installs a bunch of software.
So what are the expectations for the new hire at the end of the first day? I know you mentioned they should meet the team, we should do an architecture review, and make setup a cinch, but what can somebody expect at the end?
I think that it's really important that they feel part of the team, but also that they feel connected to the user base and have empathy for the user.
Yeah, so getting a sense of who the user is and maybe walking them through some use cases, sharing some testimonials. Usually it's an engineering lead driving the process like Ronan. So I'm assuming they should maybe do some check-ins either during that first day or during that first week. What's the benefit of doing a check-in?
Absolutely. That you want to make them feel part of the team. And when they feel part of the team, they're going to stay at the company longer.
Yeah, so that's a clear benefit to having a good onboarding process.
Definitely.
Well, thank you so much, Chris. These tips have been very helpful, and I know they're going to help our audience as they onboard their new hires.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Sure. That's it for today's episode of Build. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to receive more build tips like today's. And thanks to our sponsor, Pivotal Tracker, for their help in producing this episode. Ciao for now.
This episode of Build is brought to you by our sponsor, Pivotal Tracker.